OU football makes a big change, also what the country's newest Supreme Court justice promises he will do, plus a hurricane in the Gulf and more flooding forecast for Oklahoma. This is OU Nightly. Hello and thank you for joining us on OU Nightly. I'm Sam Brown.
And I'm Ashley Eddy. We begin with news from the OU football team as Mike Stoops is out as defensive coordinator.
Sources confirmed his removal on Sunday after OU's loss to Texas in the Red River Showdown the day before. Stoops has been on staff since 2012 and was also the defensive coordinator for his brother Bob Stoops on the Sooners' national championship team in 2000.
In a statement today, Lincoln Riley called Stoops a quality football coach and said he was responsible for a lot of success at Oklahoma. And here on the OU campus, there are mixed feelings about Stoops' removal. While some students are glad to see him go, some credited Stoops for his past work with the team.
I think it was something that really needed to be done to help propel Oklahoma to being a long-lasting, dominating force in college football.
Well, I'm pretty happy he got fired. He wasn't the best.
Now Sooner fans are left wondering who will be in charge of the defense for the rest of the season.
We throw it over to OU Nightly sports anchor Kelsea Bickerstaff for details on Stoops' replacement. Kelsea?
Yes, Sam and Ashley, Ruffin McNeil will take over the defense from Stoops. And he used to be the head coach at East Carolina when Lincoln Riley was an assistant there. McNeil came to OU in the summer of 17 and has been serving as a defensive line coach for a season and a half. He inherits a defense that has allowed 27.3 points per game this season and has not made a single red zone stop. The 48 points surrendered in the Texas loss proved to be too much for Riley to forgive. Riley and Ruffin spent 5 years together as assistants at Texas Tech and then 5 more at East Carolina, where it was McNeil who was the head man. Before the 2015 season, Riley made his way to Oklahoma, and at the end of that year, McNeil was let go with a 42-34 record. He then spent 2016 as an assistant at Virginia. Coming up in about 15 minutes, our sports staff breaks down the timeline from the moments after the game to the news of Stoops' dismissal being announced Sunday night. Ashley, back to you.
Thank you, Kelsea. After Oklahoma legalized medical marijuana in June, many people started to submit applications to obtain or sell marijuana. As of today, nearly 7,330 license applications for medical marijuana and 600 applications for dispensaries have been submitted to the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. Oklahoma's ratio of medical marijuana patients to dispensaries would be about 12-1 if each business were to be approved and opened. This signals a competitive marketplace, but some industry leaders don't believe the business landscape will be able to sustain itself in the long run.
Well, Hurricane Michael is continuing to intensify as the tropics heat up.
That's right, Sam. Meteorologist Jordan Overton joins us now with all the details.
That's right. Again, Hurricane Michael is continuing to intensify now at 80 miles an hour. That makes it a Category 1 hurricane, gusts up to 100 miles an hour. You can see it here. It's starting to develop an eye. We're starting to see the eye clear out on satellite imagery. Signs that it is starting to intensify. But back here at home, we've seen showers and thunderstorms across the morning, mainly to our west, but we've seen a few showers in Norman and Oklahoma City late this afternoon. We'll continue to see those as we go throughout the evening, but the temperatures pretty warm, sitting at 80s in Norman, but notice 60s to our northwest due to the clouds and rain. And that cold front that you see is heading in our direction. So the cold front is on the way. I'm going to talk about what it means. Tropics are active. We're going to talk all about Michael, and then we have some severe weather chances. Let you know all the details. But for now, back to you guys.
Thank you, Jordan. A limo full of partygoers crashes and kills all 20 people inside. Austin Hernandez joins us now from the News Center. Austin, there are a lot of questions about this one.
Ashley, the 17 passengers in the limousine were celebrating a birthday when the incident happened. The group included 4 sisters, newlyweds, artists, athletes, and young parents. Today, Governor Andrew Cuomo said the limo was not supposed to be on the road due to a failed inspection, and the driver did not have the appropriate license to operate the vehicle. The limo ran through a stop sign and crashed into a parked SUV, causing the deadliest U.S. transportation accident in almost a decade. After days of testimony and many protests, the U.S. Senate confirmed sent Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court over the weekend. One of his first acts after being sworn in, Kavanaugh pledged to all women to serve as his law clerks, a first for the Supreme Court. The majority of clerks Kavanaugh hired during his 12 years on the U.S. Court of Appeals were also women. Kavanaugh commented that should be an indicator of his views about women in the workplace. President Trump will ceremonially swear in Brett Kavanaugh tonight in the East Room of the White House. Chicago police is offering a $16,000 reward for the capture of a masked gunman who they say killed 2 people. Police began their manhunt after a 73-year-old man was shot to death while walking his dog. The next day, a 24-year-old was also shot to death in Rogers Park, which is where the first shooting took place. Police say the shootings appear to be random. And Google Plus is shutting down after user data has been exposed. Back to you on the studio.
Thank you, Austin. OU's campus got a little more colorful today. We'll have more on how students celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day.
And the daughter of former Senator John McCain returned to work on her show, The View. More on what she said about the country's unity coming up.
Welcome back. Today is Indigenous Peoples Day, and the Norman community has come together on what is formerly known as Columbus Day. OU Nightly's Jansen McGee showed us what the day means for OU's Native community.
Regalia, dancing, community. Today marks Norman's second annual Indigenous Peoples Day, and crowds have gathered on OU's campus to celebrate a day of culture. The festivities began with an opening ceremony and march down the South Oval, which then turned into stickball and dancing. Among the participants were Mr. and Miss Indian OU for this academic year.
It's very exciting to be able to spend this time with our friends, other students, friends of mine, faculty and staff, and just be able to kind of share in this time of celebrating what this land and what this university means to us.
The event gives Native American members of the community a chance to express themselves through culture and unity on a day previously marked by a celebration of Christopher Columbus.
We're so thankful to be able to come out here and just join as one for this day, and we do throughout the year as well, but for this day especially, just to be able to join together and really celebrate, where we're going, where we've been, where we're going, and where we're at right now, just getting our education and things like that.
Today is not about somebody who supposedly discovered a nation that was already inhabited. Today is about celebrating who we are as Indigenous people, who we will become as Indigenous people, and to remember those who have walked this earth before us and have allowed us to stand here to fight this fight.
Jansen McGee, OU Nightly.
The celebration will continue throughout the rest of the day with a community dinner at 6 p.m. on the 9th floor of Dell Hall Tower.
And Oklahoma City is getting in on the holiday change at 2, also recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day over Columbus Day. A crowd gathered at Oklahoma City University this morning for the proclamation of Indigenous Peoples Day. Oklahoma City Mayor David Holt, who is a member of the Osage Nation, says he's proud to proclaim the holiday. People celebrated the proclamation with community and a performance from the Fancy Dancers. The mayor said Indigenous Peoples Day will remain a holiday as long as he is in office.
I, David Holt, Mayor of the City of Oklahoma City, do hereby proclaim October 8, 2018 as Indigenous Peoples Day in Oklahoma City.
Indigenous Peoples Day is already recognized by 5 cities in the state.
And Oklahomans have more chances to celebrate and explore Native American culture. Olivia Whitehead joins us now in E-Report with all of the details.
That's right. The celebration of Indigenous people in America may be today, but Oklahoma audiences can continue the celebration through Wednesday with a sneak peek of Native America. This 4-part PBS series reveals some of the most advanced cultures in history while featuring never-before-seen sacred rituals and exploring this world through the traditional Indigenous knowledge. Native America premieres Tuesday, October 23rd. However, there will be free screenings tomorrow and Wednesday from 7 to 10 in the Sam Noble Museum, featuring 2 episodes a night. And today, Meghan McCain showed her connection to her father is a love without end. McCain returned to her role as co-host of The View this morning, remembering her father, Senator John McCain, who passed 6 weeks ago. She thanked her co-hosts for their support and stated the unity of America since his passing.
That my father espoused through his career are the ideals of America. And I think there was a lot of talk about what died with him. And I am here today to tell you, it didn't. It is alive.
And guys, there was a little chaos at a rap festival last night when there were claims of shots made during Lil Wayne's concert. But according to police, there was no evidence leading to anything more than just a small argument.
I'm glad there was nothing serious with that.
Good thing for that, yeah. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you so much, Olivia. And Sam, it's really starting to cool down, and those storms are starting to ramp up.
That's right. Jordan Overton is here standing by with weather. Jordan, what do you got?
That's right. There's some storms that are going to be on the way for tomorrow. I'll have exactly what you can expect coming up after the break. Welcome back to Eddy Nightly. I'm Jordan Overton. Look at your weather. So we can see on the TV Skycam network, conditions are actually pretty interesting. We see the Skyline cam. So showers and thunderstorms, Norman cam there, you see some drizzle maybe. And then on the FMB cam, First National Bank, not too bad, actually dry in Northeast Oklahoma. River cam had some rain earlier, but that started to dry out. So we've seen showers and thunderstorms all across the state this afternoon, but they've mainly been confined to western Oklahoma. We'll continue to see that throughout this evening. I think we may see some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder late this evening, but I think most of the rain for central Oklahoma is going to be tomorrow. So the cold front that you saw on earlier when I was talking about, here it is tomorrow afternoon. Notice this is around 2:30. We can see thunderstorms along it. This cold front pushes through. This is kind of the last big blast of colder air that's going to be moving into our area for the rest of this week. And notice we have some snow up in Colorado. So this area is pretty chilly that's coming in. So there's the rain again coming with it. But with it being warm and muggy out there, that always gives us a chance for a few thunderstorms and maybe some severe weather. So McAllister, Muskogee, Tulsa, you guys do have that chance for some isolated damaging winds and some hail. Maybe an isolated tornado threat, but I do not think it would be that much to be concerned about. Just be aware of that going on. But obviously we have Hurricane Michael. We've been talking about it earlier in the show. Here it is right now. Again, here's a latest advisory, 80 miles an hour. It's a Category 1. This is way off. Here's Cuba. This is Cuba right here. So it's still a little bit further to our south, but it's coming in our direction pretty quickly. Most people think, oh, it takes a long time for these kind of things to get here. This one's going to get here in the next 2 days. So here we go. This is the forecast track. 1 o'clock on Wednesday, 115-mile hurricane impacting Panama City, Destin, and really the entire Florida Panhandle there. And so again, this is going to be a Category 3 hurricane. That's the current forecast. Notice the impacts are not just on the coast. This goes all the way over into Gainesville, then up north into Alabama, and also into Georgia. Again, it's going to impact a lot of places. We have life-threatening storm surge. Could see some places, especially here near Tallahassee, could see a storm surge of 12 feet in some places with this hurricane. So again, this is something to be very aware about. Keep an eye on, make sure your friends and family know about that. This is going to also impact a lot of the East Coast. It's not just going to be Florida. You can see this track covers really all of the eastern coast, even Charlotte, Atlanta. They're going to see tropical storm force conditions with this storm. You can notice this is 60 miles an hour. It's a little bit hard to see, but it shows 60 miles an hour there. Winds impacting Charlotte, as long with heavy rain and the storm surge and everything else. And so that's what it's looking like for Hurricane Michael. We'll be tracking it on OU Nightly throughout the next few days. We'll be keeping an eye on what's going on. So there's the current watches and warnings. Again, hurricane watches and hurricane warnings for a lot of the area. And then we have 60s again for us tonight. But notice this 7-day forecast. Here we go. The cold front comes through. Thunderstorms tomorrow. Wednesday, much cooler and fall weather. You can see that 60s for highs, 40s for lows. That's fall weather for you. And that's all we've got for weather right now. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
It was a tough weekend for the Sooners, who nearly pulled off a huge comeback against the rival Longhorns.
Kelsea Bickerstaff is back with more on the game and the current coaching situation.
Yeah, it was quite an eventful weekend. A lot of big football news coming out of Norman. And a former Sooner has another big week as an NFL rookie. Sports is next. The Sooners gave up 48 points on Saturday in a 3-point loss to their rival Texas. And just a day later, Lincoln Riley made the decision to part ways with defensive coordinator Mike Stoops. Mike Stoops contributed to the 2000 National Championship before leaving to Arizona in 2003, where he coached until 2011. Ever since his return in 2012, the Oklahoma defense has struggled. Reporter Tevis Hillis joins us with a special guest for more on the situation. Tevis?
I am with Collin Kennedy, a Gaylord sports journalist, sports pad analyst, and none other than the man, the co-host that works with James Hale, the guy that broke the story about Mike Stoops. So tell us the list of events that happened this weekend.
Yeah, let's get into this mess that was Mike Stoops. First of all, thanks for having me. And this is an interesting situation. So this is information that I've gathered from various sources and outlets. So let's kind of go through the timeline. Number one, there were events, to put it lightly, throughout this game, OU Texas, that started to lead the coaching staff towards an inclination that it might be best to move on from Mike Stoops. And then things sort of started to elevate as the game ended. Mike Stoops took the stand, he left the stand, and did not take the team bus home with the Sooners. So that's sort of a strong indication. But before the team bus left, Lincoln Riley and Mike Stoops agreed to have a meeting post-game, let things sort of settle in a little bit. Between the time after the game ended and the time of the meeting, Jim Gallagher, president of the university, had some interesting input from donors, and so he joined the two in a meeting, and eventually a decision was made to move on from Mike Stoops. Now, a big misconception in this issue that I have to address: a lot of people say Lincoln Riley did not have a say in this issue. That's just plain out false. Lincoln Riley made the call. Gallagher did have a strong inclination, but in the end, it was Lincoln who made the decision to move on.
Yeah. So what do you see the difference? McNeil will be taking over as defensive coordinator. Who do you think what do you see coming up?
Yeah, so it's an interesting situation. I think they're going to move more towards a four-man front. Ruffin's obviously a defensive line coach, and on top of that, Bob Diaco, who was the other candidate for defensive coordinator, he'll move to outside linebackers coach, the vacancy left by Mike's departure. So with Diaco having some inexperience, I think they'll try and incorporate more defensive linemen, and Ruffin is obviously very comfortable with that. So I would expect more four-man fronts from the Sooners moving forward.
Yeah, and you're not done talking about this. Tell us what's happening on the Sooner Sports Pad tonight.
Yeah, Sooner Sports Pad, make sure you join us tonight. We'll have a full recap of this whole Mike Stoops situation. We'll all take a look back at the Red River Showdown and its history. And on top of that, we have two women's gymnasts stopping by to get us prepared for their season. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Do not miss it.
Very cool. And if you miss it, don't forget to tune in tomorrow after the newscast at 4:30.
The Cleveland Browns pick up another win, this one in overtime. Baker Mayfield collected his first NFL win as the starting quarterback. He threw for 342 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. With 2 seconds left in OT, kicker Greg Joseph barely made a 37-yard field goal to beat the Baltimore Ravens 12-9. A busy day in the big leagues. The Astros just swept Cleveland in Game 3 of the ALDS 11-3. Meanwhile, the Braves and Dodgers are underway in Atlanta, and the Red Sox and Yankees get started at 6:40. And on the court last night, the Oklahoma City Thunder went up against former Sooner Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. Paul George led OKC with 22 points, and Steven Adams finished with 9 rebounds. The Thunder came out on top 113-94.
I'm Claire Easley here at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Just minutes from now, we will hear from OU head football coach Lincoln Riley. He's expected to comment about the dismissal of defensive coordinator Mike Stoops. Look for the very latest on this developing story on OU Nightly's social media pages and on Sooner Sports Pad tonight. Back to you in the studio.
Pranks are all fun and games, but what about a $1.4 million prank? Check this out. Moments after a buyer placed the winning bid on this famous Banksy artwork, Banksy had something up his sleeve.
An actual shredder was built into the frame years ago, ripping the piece to shreds. The best part was Banksy delighted in a moment on his Instagram account, writing, "Going, going, gone."
And thanks for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night live at 4:30.
Have a great evening.
Good night.